Hey friends, it's Sid and I'm here to do a spoiler book review of Lakewood by Megan Giddings. So, I already did a spoiler-free review, like I already did it today. So I'm doing another review. This is with spoilers because I really want to talk about the book freely and not have to think about not revealing too much information. So I will still give a synopsis just in case someone just watches this video. So Lakewood by Megan Giddings, which is a debut novel for her. This is about a young black woman who is in college. Her name is Lima. Her grandmother recently died and there's a lot of financial burden and stress for her and her mother. And her mother has an illness that no one really knows what it is. So with all this stress and this financial burden, she decides to quit college for a little bit and go to this experiment / job that's called the Lakewood Project. And then we find out that this really is a place where they are doing experiments on people. So that is the synopsis of the book. All right, what I did like the premise. I liked that we were gonna be getting into experiments done on black people. I was like, oh, this is gonna be creepy. But you know, based on true things, because this happened. So I was really excited about that. But I got let down because the experiments weren't even only on black people, and I feel like the synopsis was leaning towards that. It was just two black people, the main character Lena and Charlie, this black guy who's from that town, Lakewood, and then it was 9 black people of color and 1 white woman named Bethany. And I was just like, okay, that already threw me for a loop once that happened. I was like, oh, so it's only 2 black people in an experiment? That's strange. And Lena's just like, okay, but all of the people watching over them are white. So we do see that there's this white power structure, and they're the people looking in on these people who are non-white and black, and then that 1 white woman. Other things that I also liked about the book, the whole Bethany being replaced thing was pretty cool. So just to slightly give a synopsis anyway, Bethany is the white woman that's in the experiment, and she goes off one day and comes back to the office and her teeth are falling out. Whatever they did to her, teeth is falling out. It's crazy. Nobody knows what to say. The guard, overseer people go and pick her up. And Bethany has this personality where she's really cheerful and she always wants to make everything great. And she puts this poster on the back of her desk that's like, stress is just dessert spelled backwards. So when she leaves and they come back, there's another person there, another white woman who looks like Bethany, who is not Bethany, but is going by the name Bethany. And she put another poster up that says stress is just dessert spelled backwards. I felt like that was really creepy and unsettling, and I wanted the book to do more of that and kind of even delve more in. And I feel like we never really got explanation. We know things are happening to these Bethanys, right? And they have to keep getting replaced, but I'd really like to know, and there must be people who are similar, but people who really even pick the same poster? It's so strange. It made me think, are these people slightly in? Do they kind of know they're supposed to be putting this stuff up? Are they just really confused? I really thought they were just part of the experiment. But I just found that very creepy to just have, and another person comes after that. Actually, so another Bethany at least. So it was very strange, and I really liked that part about the book. What I will say is that my issue kind of with Bethany's always leaving is I don't know, I don't like that kind of gives this indication that white people wouldn't be able to deal with experiments as much. They don't have much tolerance. They have more of a lower of a pain threshold. It's that's very problematic, and it's even problematic in the medical racism that happens at hospitals and doctors when it comes to black people going into places and people thinking that we have a high pain threshold or that we're lying about something that we have, and these people end up getting sicker or they end up dying because they are ignored and denied treatment because they believe that black people actually feel less pain. So I don't think Megan Giddings was trying to do that, but I put that connection together, having that white person continuously get more harm than anybody else, having to keep getting replaced. To me, that kind of indicated she doesn't have the pain threshold, and I didn't really like that about it. I liked how it was creepy, but that kind of slight indication it was trying to give there, I was not with it at all. So I had a problem with that. Also, what I also had a problem with, I didn't like how we would get so much drawn out information in the beginning, which I wanted to know, but I feel like we didn't get enough of Lena's thoughts. We didn't feel enough about what she thought or liked when she put in how she felt. And I feel like I wanted her to talk more about how afraid she was, but she didn't. Sometimes she did talk about like being experimented on and how it felt, but I feel like her fear wasn't pushed through as much. And that might be because that's kind of the personality trait that Megan Giddings was going for her, because Lena does say, that she likes to put on the front for people or be a certain way, and she's smiling, she's happy because she knows that people won't bother her, and she's used to doing that as a Black woman. And I feel like maybe that's the whole, like, I'm gonna grin and bear it, I don't have to reveal my feelings. That might have been what she was going for, like how much people will suffer and not always go into so much detail about it because they're so used to putting on this facade for the world, and they do it so much that they just keep doing it, like even in thought. So that actually, look, as I'm just flushing this out as I'm talking, that actually could be a good point that she was trying to make now that I'm thinking about it. So, okay, even though I would have personally liked to hear more about like her fears. But other than that, I also, like at the end, when she kept writing those letters to her best friend, it was just like really rushed. We just like, okay, and this happened, and that happened, and this, and my eyes changed color. And I mean, actually, the eyes changed color, we got more details, but like, and that happened. I got in this experiment, and this was bad, and that was bad. And I was like, whoa, it's a lot of information you're just throwing at us. And I'm not even getting to see everything in detail, and I really wanted details on those things. So I was a little disappointed when it got to there. And like as the ending as a whole was just kind of like, oh, whatever, we're just gonna throw, it just seemed lacking for me. For the experiments to not be on Black people and for them to for them to not be on Black people, and it should be on like a group of people of color, a white person and then 2 Black people, it didn't do this book any good, because when it gets to the end, they kind of throw in that her grandmother was part of the experiments, that her mother might have been part of these type of experiments, and that people have been experimenting on Black people in Lakewood for a long time. So it was very specific to Black people towards the end, but I feel like Megan Giddings was afraid to make that the full subject in the beginning of the book, and it made it a little disjointed for us to connect. To me, like, I just made it's less than disjointed. It's like they've always been experimenting on Black people and they're still doing it. Like, but they only picked 2 Black people. Like, how does that work out? So I just feel like that was kind of thrown in a little weirdly, to just like see what they do to Black people, and then but you didn't start off with that. So I wanted that to connect more, and I did want this book to be focused more on the treatment of Black people in experiments and the medical race, and I was looking for that more, but that's not what we got. So I just felt like that was kind of thrown in. Also, how they were talking about how the water supply in the town was poisoning people. I was like, whoa, I mean, I knew there was something going on with the water, but I thought that the experiment company was doing something with it. And it's kind of just thrown in there, like, whoa, look at the things that people do and don't tell them. And I felt like that could have been a book on its own, like Problems of Water Supply. Look at Flint. Like, I feel like it would have been a good book all by itself. People drinking water didn't know it's poisonous, how it affects the lake, how it affects people in the town, how it affects these things that's happening and how they have to go to the hospital. I just feel like it needed its own thing, and we didn't even need it here. I just feel like it was kind of like, and it's poison, and this is how, and maybe she needed it because that's how she needed the Lakewood project to end. They find out it's poisonous, things start getting out, and then the whole Lakewood project disappears. And to me, that was underwhelming. It just disappears. And for her to go and find that none of these people were there and not sure if they're real, that's not terrible to me, but like, I don't know, I just needed a little more. I really did. It was just like, okay, and that is all. People experiment on people, and they go through extreme methods, and then they out. Maybe that's what she wanted. Maybe she wanted that lingering fear to stay there. Like, these people can experiment on people, and they can treat them as test subjects, as inhuman, as a means to an end, and then they will just pick up and leave and act like it never happened. And when they're in these experiments, it's so breaking of their spirits, of their bodies, of their minds, that this type of thing, this type of disappearing could convince them that it kind of didn't even happen. So maybe this is another way for them to mess with them. Yeah, so it's not the worst thing to have everything disappear. It's just that there was a lot in the book that was like coming, that was kind of like unanswered and like thrown in at the end to me. That's probably why I also was like, okay, and it disappeared. Got it. But I did give this book 3 stars. As a whole, I really thought it was a good book. I just was looking for more, and maybe it's because I read the synopsis. That cover was really pretty. It's terrible to say, like, I just like pretty covers. The cover was pretty. I read the synopsis, and I was just like, oh, this is going to be crazy. Like, this is going to be good. And it's not that it was bad. It just wasn't completely what I expected, and I wanted more that I just didn't get. But I do think that the whole point is like, what are people willing to go through to help their family? What are people willing to endure, like in the worst possible ways, because of poverty and not having money or the financial stability or anything to help their families? So they're willing to like put their minds and bodies through terrible ordeals for money. And that's not to say anything bad about the people who are poor. That says so much more about society and what people have to go through to be able to live in a capitalistic society, you know? It says so much about society that people who have to endure all of this terror and pain and horror for money to live well, you know? It's like something that's gonna scar your life forever so that you can live okay and take care of your family. So I think that's a good thing to pose, to talk about. To say, like, look at what this is, and especially poor Black people, you know, like, it's just like, okay, and this is what people have to do. But it also says, like, people are trash, and they've been trash, and they've been experimenting on Black people and doing things they shouldn't have been doing, and we need to talk about this. But I think she could have went into that subject way more headfirst, way less afraid, and I think that would have made this a way better book. Alright, y'all, that is the end of my spoiler review of Lakewood by Megan Giddings. I'll see y'all in my next one. Bye.